Hey, what's up, y'all? Welcome back to the Top Flight Pod. You know what it is. You know what we're here to do. We're back on screen today. Beautiful Austin, Texas. A bit chilly, little bit cold, but it's all because of the wind. Primo, how are you doing today? Welcome to the show, mate.
Thank you for having me. Cold weather, man. Yeah, it is pretty cold. Out of nowhere too. It was kind of a nice day yesterday, and just out of nowhere, bam, cold weather, and things gonna be like that for the rest of the week.
Oh God, that's not a good sign. That's not a good sign. But hey, it is, winter season. It is that time here in Texas. Although we are used to sometimes it being kind of warm down here during these times. But hey, it is what it is. Get your coats, get your sweaters, and get ready for the week. But we do have a little bit of news, a little bit of interesting Austin FC topics to keep you warm as the days go on this week. So buckle up and let's get into today's episode. But before we get into all of that, just want to send a shout out to, of course, the Patreon members, of course, everybody on the Discord. Shout out to my G, shout out to my G Brad. Popped in. He said, "What's up, y'all?" He's back from his break there, my G. Shout out to him though. Shout out to my G Brad. But also shout out to Bobby. He said he's sick. Said he's so sick that his left eye is closed. I was like, mate, you gotta go get that checked. What is that? What is left eye closed? I don't know what that is. Shout out to my G Bobby. Hopefully everything is all right. I think the flu is also going around, so be careful out there, Primo. Be careful out there, mate. But like I said, shout out to everybody on the Patreon and everybody on the Discord. Now, I did want to get started with a topic that actually pushed back the pod like at least like 45 minutes because of this. It's at this point, Primo, I would say that it's news. I wouldn't say that it's a transfer rumor. I wouldn't even call it that anymore. I'd say that this is probably going to be announced by the time this podcast comes out. I'm talking about the JON BELL situation, Primo. You saw what I sent to the chat. Apparently, Nico Moreno, we all know that he already kind of reported this a couple weeks back. He's a journalist from Seattle. He's an insider up there. He has inside information, inside tips, and his sources tell him that defender, former Seattle Sounders defender, Jonathan Bell, has signed Primo a contract with Austin FC. Now, he says after testing the free agency market and talking to several teams, we know that Chicago was also involved in this transfer saga. Jonathan Bell will play for Nico Esteves next season. As Nico had mentioned before, he thinks Bell is a great addition to that Austin FC roster. Now, that's a tweet coming from Nico Moreno. Primo, what are your thoughts on this situation? Looks like Austin FC has a new defender, probably going to be announced, like I said, on Monday when this podcast is out. What do you think about this?
I mean, it's just I'm not too sure if I would call it a good signing, just because there's not much on this guy to kind of go off of, but it is something that we are looking to fill in, I guess, with Julio Cascante leaving the
Mm.
team. We obviously got to bring someone else to fill in that spot. So, someone that's familiar with the league. He's been in the league the whole time. Had a good run with New England. I think that's where he had most of his games throughout his career, and then
Mm.
made that move to Seattle. And they had a handful of games there. But Seattle's a tough team to maybe break into. Maybe he had a tough time there, but we'll welcome him here in Austin, and see what he can do for us.
No, and also, Primo, you and I have already had podcasts about John Bell. We've had segments on him, where we've talked about the rumor before. We had mentioned that this is kind of like a good Rolo signing, and I think Brian broke it down quite well in the recent podcast that we had with him. Whenever we were talking about this player, B was saying how it kind of checked a lot of Rolo boxes. He was making almost, he was making little money with Seattle. You could look that up on the MLSPA. I think it was less than 150,000. I mean, that's music to Rodo's ears. I mean, I'm hoping he gets just a bit more with Austin FC. I'm sure everybody wants to get paid more at what they do, and we know that Rodo Borrell, he doesn't like to pay his defenders. He doesn't like to make them the toppest, or the highest earners at the club. I'm gonna just say that. I think all the defenders in Austin FC are kind of in the same range when it comes to their wage. So I think like I mentioned, from the financial standpoint, also B had also mentioned it. It just fits so well with what Austin FC has been doing in that department. And then defensively, when we're talking about on the field, Primo, I mean, just like you mentioned, he's a guy that knows the league. This is a player that played in the Club World Cup. He had to step up to replace the injured center back that would usually be playing in that position. He was a rotation player in the league. He logged in at least 1,500 plus minutes for Seattle during the regular season. Injured very little, Primo. I think he's available most of the time. He did not play in the Leagues Cup. We do got to point that out, but he did post a nice picture there with the trophy. So, low wage, knows the league well, knows what the Western Conference is. I mean, you mentioned his past time with other teams in this league as well. I mean, I think you kind of said it well. It's not a great signing. It's a good depth signing. And I think he could definitely hang with the center back groups. I think he's going to, he could elevate this defensive group when we were talking about the center back group. I think he could elevate it, when you really think about it. But it's not a signing that obviously makes you turn your neck or break your neck, or have a double take or whatnot. This is a good signing. It's a good depth signing moving forward for 2026. And my opinion, I think this is a good, solid piece added to the roster for multiple reasons. But like I said, it's not something that is a lavish signing like what Toronto just did with Walker Zimmerman or whatnot. But I think it checks a lot of boxes for Austin FC pretty much.
It does, for sure. No, for sure.
And well, Jon Bell, welcome to Austin FC, mate. It is not official yet. We have to point that out. The club will probably make it official on Monday, maybe Tuesday. I don't know. It is Nico Moreno. Like I said, he is an insider, Seattle Sounders journalist. It could probably be in the works to be announced Monday at latest Tuesday this week for Austin FC fans out there. So maybe Anthony Precourt drops some green smoke and we all know what he's going to be talking about, or the club might as well just put it out in the morning on Monday so the fans can have something to talk about the rest of the day or the rest of the week. And who knows if they're going to have more things coming. I know that the super draft is on, I think it's on Thursday this week. So keep an eye out for that. But Jon Bell, Primo, I mean, this is a guy that, didn't score any goals this season, doesn't have any assists this season. I mean, he's a center back, can play left back as well. We had also mentioned that just because he has played left back for other teams doesn't necessarily mean he's going to come do it down here for Austin FC. I see him more at the center back position, at the center back role, filling in that void left behind by Julio Cascante. I mean, you probably see him at center back too, no?
No, yeah, I think with the left back position, you got Biro, Komanic there that can probably play those positions pretty well. Maybe better than this Jon Bell guy. Yeah, it kind of seems like this guy's focused to be a center back for us.
Yeah, and so just like everybody knows, Julio Cascante did leave the club. His his option was not picked up. One of the highest earning players at the club at CB. His minutes didn't reflect, kind of his involvement in the financial department or his hit, being a TAM player as well. So it's kind of like one of those signings that needed to happen, or one of those things that needed to happen. So other things can occur down the line, right? So this player comes in, could play the minutes that Julio Cascante had for Austin FC. He was very involved with the U.S. Open Cup, had massive moments in that semifinal for Austin FC. And by the looks of it, it looks like Austin could be playing multiple competitions this year coming up. We know that we have the official confirmation of the U.S. Open Cup, Primo. The Leagues Cup is not confirmed that Austin FC will be in or out of it, but we have a foot in the door. So I would count Austin FC in there. If we're talking about 3 competitions, this Jon Bell signing could actually be crucial for you down the line. He could be an Open Cup player, he could be an MLS player, or he could be a Leagues Cup signing. Like I said, for Seattle, he was a league player, didn't feature in Leagues Cup, but he was heavily involved in the Club World Cup. You see where I'm going with that?
No, yeah, for sure. I think hopefully it works out for Mr. Jon Bell here in Austin. I mean, there's room for him to grow. There's room for him to step up and to really be that main man in the back line. So, there's something there for him. It's up to him if he wants to make the most out of it.
The main man, though, I mean, he's going to have to fight for sure, because you have Svatok, you have Mateja. I know a lot of folks maybe have already forgot about Mateja, the Viking with the beard. And then you have Heinzek. And, we'll see what Nico rolls out with in 2026. We saw that back five a lot towards the end of the season in 2025. But, you could also use back fours. You could also use those back fives. Coach is going to say that it depends on who they play is how they're going to roll out with it defensively. But I think, with Austin being in multiple competitions, a signing like Jon Bell is going to prove to be, good, prove to be crucial for Austin FC. When we're talking about depth, when we're talking about rotation players that are going to step in and, play those minutes whenever you need to rest a guy, or if he fights for his position to be a actual, key starter, because the defense, I mean, hindsight is for me probably the lock-in starter. Svatok fights for his position. Julio Cascante is now out of the picture, but you also have Mateja that also has been doing well with the minutes that he has seen. You now insert Jon Bell, not official yet, still pending official club announcement, but this is a player that is going to fight for his minutes. This is a player that is definitely going to turn up the heat when you're talking about center back minutes, center back competition when we're talking about Austin FC. So good for Austin FC, good defensive signing. I'm excited to see what he can do for the Verde and Black. And if Austin FC is in multiple competitions, I mean, just like I said, we're going to need reinforcements. Austin FC is going to need those depth pieces, and excited to see what happens if this actually comes true. Expect for it maybe Monday, as late Tuesday, but we'll see what happens. Nico Moreno posting it. I'm sure Tom Boger is maybe going to follow with something here soon. But all righty, Primo. Another piece of news that we have here. Oh, but actually, before we go on to that, I did want to read some reactions from the Discord chat, because I asked him, I was like, hey, chat, what do y'all think about this? Bunsen Ben, he says, good for depth. Rodo has made good defense signings. He hasn't really missed defensively. I think Bell will be just fine. Jake, 619 by 512, says, fine for depth. We were initially great on defense. TBH, I think our lack of offense undermined our defense later in the season. Sama 15 says, not a reinforcement, just someone to fill the blank on the depth chart. And 3 people put up hundreds emojis on that. And then when I asked the question, somebody dropped a thumbs down reaction, which was Sama. So he's not quite on board as I would think he is. And Sama, actually, remember, Primo, I said that Sama had the take where he said, only in MLS will fans get excited about a signing when a player makes a little bit amount of money. That was his take. You remember that? You remember that, right?
Not a fan. Not a fan.
Oh, so he's definitely not a fan. And then Bengalov, he says that he is U.S. Oh, and this is also an important piece of this conversation in case people already forgot. He is U.S. born. Jon Bell is U.S. born, although he is a Jamaican international player. I don't think he will occupy those international roster slots. Actually, I think that was confirmed by our Seattle folk out there. But anyways, Jon Bell, we'll see what he does. Pending official club announcement, but that's that on that. Welcome, Jon Bell. Still pending club official announcement, but we'll see. We'll see. A good depth signing, good rotation signing. We'll see what the wage looks like. If it's anything like what he was making in Seattle, I think a lot of fans are going to like the number when those MLSPA salaries do come out. But all righty, pretty much. Like I said, next bit of news that we had here, it's something that a lot of people saw last week, but when we dropped our last podcast, it made it, it didn't make the cut for the list of topics, and it is good old Stefan Cleveland. Primo, it is official. He signs with SKC for $50,000 in GAM. He signs on a new contract, which is a very interesting piece of information there, Primo. But Stefan Cleveland, he's on the move to SKC, and folks are going to remember him forever for that famous, glorious, beautiful PK save against El Memote when Austin FC defeated Pumas in the Leagues Cup. I mean, what a moment for Stefan. I'm sure he didn't sleep that night. He looked like he was going to pass out the moment that he got up after making that save. Stefan Cleveland, he's now gone, but he won $50K in GAM. Remember, he got here for free. Is this good business? Was this a good ending to the story tell for Austin FC fans?
I think maybe I would say so, especially with Loss coming back. I think something just had to be done between these 3 goalkeepers. You obviously have 3 really good goalkeepers. You can't have all of them at the same time. So I felt like one of them either had to go on loan or had to be sold, and for it to be Stephen Cleveland, I mean, he was kind of at the end of the stick there. But you did mention we got him for free, and then got a little bit of money out of him. I think that's a win. If you're able to make profit out of the signing, then it's a win. I for sure would have loved to see him in an Austin FC jersey a lot more. I would have loved to have seen him in those Open Cup games, a lot more, and maybe in
Hmm.
those in between games, where you're not having to fight so much for those points. But hopefully he gets the minutes in Kansas. I'm not sure what the situation looks like in Kansas with their goalkeepers, but hopefully he's going out there to be a starter, or at least fighting for that position. He's a good goalkeeper, so I wouldn't doubt that he still has more to give.
Hmm. Yeah, so Cleveland now joins SKC, and this is what the club released on their official statement. They said Cleveland, 31, spent the 2024 and 2025 seasons with Austin FC. He made one Leagues Cup appearance and one U.S. Open Cup appearance, highlighted by a late penalty kick save and a 3-2 win for the Verde and Black over Pumas in July 2024 Leagues Cup group stage fixture, kind of like how I mentioned earlier. But best of luck to him. Just like you mentioned, it seemed like something had to be done. One of these guys had to go. It's not for anything bad. It's not for any bad reason. It's because they're all just great. They're all just great keepers, and one of them was going to be wasted. One of them was going to be wasted, and I think it's a win-win situation for everybody. Honestly, everybody wins in this goalkeeper situation, and it's because Damian Loss now is solidified as the number 2 for Austin FC, which a lot of people were waiting on for a very long time. Brad's super position obviously doesn't change at all. He now has somebody to kind of teach, a little kind of young pupil, a little prodigy, somebody that he could teach and kind of help grow throughout his career. Stefan Cleveland gets his minutes with SKC most likely. I'm hoping that this is a move where he can actually see some minutes and he's not just, sitting on the bench, waiting for some kind of weird situation to happen with a goalkeeper so he can go in there and, play, or wait for, those cup fixtures or whatnot, right? It's just an entire win-win situation. Cleveland gets his PT. Loss is now number 2. And then Austin FC gets some kind of money, 50K in GAM. I mean, it adds up. Austin FC's probably been building it up, and hopefully it helps them, hopefully it helps contribute to some signing that they're trying to do or they're working for or whatnot. But 50K in GAM is 50K in GAM. I mean, sometimes you need it. And in this situation, 50K in GAM was enough for Austin FC to say, you know what, Cleveland, go ahead. And it was strange, pretty much. It was strange because one of the things that a lot of people were waiting on when the roster decisions came out was Stefan Cleveland's option to be not picked up, right? And we did the pod. We were talking about it. We were saying that was the only weird one. That was the only head scratcher. We were like, well, why would you pick it up or whatnot? But I guess you pick it up, right? And then hopefully, it was. I don't think you have to pay him anything whenever you pick it up. But let's say you don't pick it up, you don't make this 50K in GAM. Austin FC picks up his option. He ends up transferring to SKC, and they make a little bit of money on it. So hey, it's an entire win-win situation. Austin FC got to make their money off of this too. So boom off of that, right? But I mean, any last thoughts, Primo, on Stefan Cleveland officially making the move to SKC? And I think he will be missed.
Yeah, I think he'll probably be missed by a few people. It's just tough, man. Just because he didn't get any minutes. I don't think he got much last season, right? And he had that Puma save, which was crazy at that time. But hopefully he goes on to Kansas City, becomes a starter there. He's a good goalkeeper. Maybe we'll see him when they come play in Austin. But good luck to Stephen Cleveland for sure.
Yeah, I just remember him, being with he was in the Open Cup, and folks were getting kind of frustrated with him. I remember arguing with the Spanish pod boys because he didn't have the best performance against El Paso, if I'm not mistaken. He had one appearances and he conceded 2 goals in that game. The one versus El Paso, and after that he didn't see another game in the Open Cup, and we were like, well, at least what I was arguing was that this is a competition for Stefan Cleveland. This is the competition where he needs to be playing, but he just didn't impress. 2 goals conceded. I mean, there was defensive questions that also needed to be asked. It wasn't all his fault, if I'm being quite honest, but he did concede those 2 goals. One of them was actually very poor, if I'm being quite honest there. And he also had an appearance in MLS Next Pro. They didn't add that in the official press release, but he had 1 appearance and he conceded 2 goals. in Next Pro as well. So Stefan Cleveland there, maybe not the best of 2025, maybe not the best season, but hey, he had some magical moments with Austin FC, and best of luck to him with SKC. Really, really hoping that everything works out for Steph and the future of his career, mate. So best of luck, Stefan Cleveland. No longer with Austin FC, now with Sporting Kansas City. You're just happy for the lad. Now, official roster, Brad Stuber and Damian Loss now makes the Austin FC goalkeeping team. Now, Primo, one of the next things that I wanted to talk about, actually, well, one thing that I wanted to mention too is that the 50K in game is nice, Primo, but you also got to remember that this is a senior roster that opens up for Austin FC. That's what Stephen Cleveland was occupying. I just glanced at my notes one more time. And also, it could be four international spots, maybe three, depending on Ilia's new contract. I think that that's something very important for people to also know. So I think those senior roster spots moving forward, obviously, they mean a lot when you're talking about squad building and all that. But depending on what Ilia's situation is like with that new contract, Primo, and Stephen Cleveland's now departure, those senior roster spots might be looking, interesting for Austin FC moving forward. But best of luck, Cleveland. Now, Primo, like I said, one of the other things that I wanted to talk about on tonight's pod was a little bit of a fun topic. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, folks are gonna take these numbers to heart, but I mean, I think some user in the chat, Arglass, he said it perfectly well. He said these are just numbers on a website. They're honestly just opinions. Is pretty much what we came to a conclusion about these values on Transfermarkt, Primo, and it's about the update. From December, Verde Nation ATX, actually, he made some really good graphics, and we're going to put them on the screen here so that folks can see. But pretty much we're going to highlight a couple of them. Mirto, Uzuni, Bukari, Owen, Wolff, and Guilherme Biro are the ones that we have graphics for, again, provided by Verde Nation. So we can check those out. And I'm going to ask, pretty much, which ones do you think are kind of the most surprising, or maybe which ones kind of surprised you in a good way or in a bad way? And I think maybe there's no other place to start than designated player Mirto Uzuni. Now, this was a signing that was a release clause. It was not a signing, price for price. It was a release clause that was paid $12.3 million for Austin FC to Granada, paid in 3 installments. I think fully paid by now, if I'm not mistaken. But Mirto Uzuni, Verde Nation's graphic here, it says that he's dropped about 2.5 mil, mate. I mean, a little bit of a concern, but that value can also go up if Mirto Uzuni has a great season with Austin FC in 2026. I mean, what are your thoughts on this? I mean, this is a important piece for the roster, and values hurt, but this can easily go up the way that it went down. What are your thoughts, Primo?
Yeah, I mean, I think yeah, I mean, like you mentioned, these numbers are just all for fun, and at the end of the day, they're just numbers on the website. But things like this, the fan base see these types of things. The journalists see these types of things, and sometimes you guys kind of just judge it off of stuff like this. So if you're a new Austin FC fan, you're like, man, who's this Uzuni guy? I want to see what he's about on Transfermarkt. You see the value, you're like, oh man, he went down as of last season. Kind of gives you a little something in that aspect. But at the same time, there's a lot of things that could probably play into that. The change of league can affect the value of a player. Maybe the age, things like that. But at the same time, he also didn't have the best season. That's kind of expected. You don't have it. You see it as like a stock. Stock's not doing too well, or company's not doing too great, too hot. Stock value is going to go down. Same deal with the player. But he has everything to bring his value back up. If Austin FC is really worried about it, then I just don't see like, oh, you have to play good so that you're worth more, so that we can sell you for X amount of money. I don't think Austin FC is really into all that, but maybe he plays a mental thing also on these players. I just hope that they're not really looking into like stuff like this, but it's interesting to see.
If there's one player that might be looking into this, it's Mirto, if I'm being quite honest. He sees everything on social media. So if there's anybody on this list that we're going to go through, it's probably Mirto Uzuni there. But no, just you. It was funny because you mentioned stocks or whatnot, and when you log into your stock app, whatever app that you use, you're either in the green or you're in the red, right? And I was looking at these prices or at these values for the Austin FC players that Transfer Market has on their website, and it was a lot of them were in the red. A lot of them were kind of down. They were low or whatnot. There was a few that were up. There are some positives that we're going to talk about. It's not all doom and gloom. We just started with a very important player, Mirto Sony. Unfortunately, his trend is going down when we're talking about value. But there are some other things that we're going to talk about that were good for Austin FC. But like I said, he is an important piece for Austin FC. And I do remember, Primo, when Mirto Sony was signed, I think I'm sure I was part of these conversations as well, where folks were saying that Mirto Sony there could be somewhat of a profit for Austin FC if Mirto Sony was able to, kind of, do the things that he wanted to do in MLS. I'm talking about break those records, score these crazy amount of goals that he was saying that he came to MLS to do. Maybe Austin FC could flip him and send him to some team in Europe for, hey, maybe 15, maybe 13, maybe 14 million, make something back of that release clause transfer fee that they did pay. But when you look at his 2025 season, when you look at the things that Transfer Market are kind of putting out there, Austin FC fans are going to be thinking, well, we're never going to make any kind of profit off of this player. So we're bound to take some kind of loss. And things like this, when they get posted, values like this, when they get updated, I mean, it just adds more doubt to the fan base after, what they already saw in the season on the pitch. But like I said earlier, Primo, these are things, these are numbers that if Mirto Sony can bang in, 5 goals in the first 10 games or something, I mean, the next update might have a little bit more respect for his name. But it also depends on the player, depends on the team, the people that they have around them, and also the opportunities that they take on the field. It's not Transfer Market, it's the players kind of ultimately adding kind of fire to the flame so they can change their values there or whatnot. But another player here that I wanted to mention is another DP, Primo, is Osman Bukari. His market value, his trend is also going down. Minus 1.5 million is what the graphic says here. Bukari, designated player, another important piece for this Austin FC side. A huge investment that the club made, building into this season. Maybe you can go back and forth whether he's worked out yet, whether he's, kind of, if he's kind of paid back the transfer fee that was invested in him. I know he's a favorite player for some Austin FC fans. A lot of Austin FC fans also criticize him that he's not done enough yet. But where are you at, Primo? I mean, Bukari losing value, but this is another guy that could, light it up in 2026. And the next update could be a little bit more fair to him, could be a little bit more nice to him. What are your thoughts on this one?
I mean, this one's it's another one of a little bit of a tough one because now you got 2 DPs that are going down in value, and it's like, man, what's going on? Hopefully, but I mean, if in my opinion, I did see more sparks come out of Bukari this season than Uzuni, and so hopefully he can just make something happen, man. I really feel like he can come out and be that, that Swifty guy that goes around the corners and, either crosses it in or gets a good shot. Like, he's really good at 1v1s, but I just don't know. I don't know. It's the change of environment, the change of league.
But he's also had the most amount of time out of all the new signings. Bukari was one of the first big investments that Austin FC made, and he hasn't really panned out. And this season, maybe he had a little bit more sparks than Mirto Sony based on the stuff that he did on the pitch, and I don't know, but he had 33 appearances, 3 goals, and 5 assists. I know Mirto Sony didn't kill it on the pitch, but I mean, if I'm being quite honest, I've been expecting a lot more from Bukari, and he's just kind of the foot is not on the gas. And a lot of the times, don't get me wrong, I love seeing him run down the wing, cut back, shake and bake or whatnot. Especially this season, I feel like it was just maybe a little overcooked. I feel like maybe the wrong decision was made quite often. But like I said, it's great seeing him run down the wing, get open, ball in space. That's one of my favorite things from Osman Bukari, but I need to see a little bit more of an end product from those runs. I want him to cut in and shoot. I want him to make a guy miss and make another guy miss, and then actually make the goalkeeper work, because I'm tired of seeing Bukari shots to the side net. How many times have we seen a good Bukari power shot to the side net? I'm sick of it. I'm honestly tired of it. How about cutting in and putting a curler to the far post? Let's see some of that. I mean, I don't know what the instruction has been. I know that coach and Bukari has actually told us that the instruction has been to pass to Brandon Vasquez to look for the number 9. But I want to see if that's the case. I want to see a more free Bukari, because honestly, what he showed us in 25, maybe there was some sparks. It just wasn't enough. I mean, he did have a goal in Minnesota. I was there, but I mean, I don't know. I know I'm not being too harsh on him. I just know I'm not. I mean, he had two
No, I
goals.
mean,
He had 2 goals, 1 assist in 5 appearances in the Open Cup. In the playoffs, he had 1 appearance, no goals, no assists. He was injured for the second leg versus LAFC. And then he had 33 appearances in MLS regular season, 3 goals and 5 assists in regular season. I mean, I'm not, I don't think I'm being too harsh on him, on Osman.
no, I don't think you are, and I think one of the key things that you brought up was that he's been here the longest, and that should hopefully, you know, light a fire underneath his butt and tell him like, hey man,
Yeah, yeah,
you've been here the longest. The first one to get cut is most likely going to be you. So hopefully he steps it up this season because yeah, like you mentioned, he's been here the longest.
yeah.
All these DPs are losing value. So Austin FC might want to press that button a lot sooner than what they're thinking if this continues. So
Yeah, yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens with Osman Bukari. I mean, another player, like I said, that does not get a hall pass is Mirto Uzuni. 27 appearances, 6 goals, 3 assists. That's in regular MLS. In Open Cup, he had 5 appearances, 3 goals, no assists. And in the playoffs, he had 2 appearances, no goals or assists. I mean, these are 2 DPs that are losing value according to Transfermarkt, and based on their involvement, most likely because the numbers just didn't back them up in 2025, and that's just the I guess the reality according to Transfermarkt when we're talking about the values that we see on the website. But then you look at the pitch and what you saw at Q2. I mean, yeah, they got to the final, which was fantastic, but I feel like there could have been a lot of more things done, and the productivity more than anything in the attack, because you got to playoffs, check, you got to the final, another check mark, but the productivity, the amount of goals. I think you could have. They definitely held their hat more on the defensive side than on the offensive output. But hey, moving forward, 2026 is going to be a whole nother season, and it's going to be time for them to kind of amend all their wrongs that they did in 2025. And some players might not want to hear that. I know fans are definitely feeling like that, but hey, it is what it is. I think the fans are definitely owed a lot more. But hey, it is what it is. But alrighty. Another player that we can get into. Those were the designated players. Let's see who we got here. Oh, Mirto Uzuni. Again, these are graphics from Verde Nation. Very well put. Helps us out so we can talk about these players. Guilherme Biro made his value went up plus 1 million approximately. I know that the transfer market does their stuff in euros. We operate in USD. But Guilherme Biro, I mean, one of the good stories of 2025. I mean, he was an all-star, right? He was part of that group. Fans might say, well, he was just added because Jordi Alba didn't travel. The reality is that he's a good left back in MLS. I mean, he is somebody that fights for the badge that that he's wearing on his chest. This is a player that gives you 100% on any kind of ball, on any kind of challenge, any kind of tackle, and he's also attack minded. He scored some not important or crucial goals, but he scored some good goals for Austin FC. I mean, he scored the header to beat LAFC away in the first fixture of the season when you had to go to BMO. Just an all around good signing that Biro has turned out to be. Primo, his value, his stock has gone up, and to me, it's no surprise. I mean, I don't know how you see this.
it's a positive thing for sure. I mean, you see some of these players losing value, but then you also, we have some that are gaining, going up in value as well. So, doesn't, it says that it's not completely going downhill, but um, Biro did have some good little moments throughout the season. Maybe that's what helped them get that value up. But he, I feel like there's been a lot of, maybe not a lot of talk, but I've heard a lot of people say like, hey, I'm not sure about this Biro guy. I'm not really liking this
There
Biro
has
guy.
been, yeah, you're right, you're right.
I've always been a fan of Biro. I've always liked that he tries to go up the wing, that he's always wanting the ball, like he's always trying to be involved, and so maybe stuff like that, gets noticed and helps you with raising up your value. But shout out Biro. I've always been a fan. I hope he stays here for a couple more years at least. I
Yeah.
like him.
Well, here on the transfer market website, they have him at 91% in the starting 11. He played 86% of minutes and 11% of goal participation in regular season. For the Open Cup, he had 5 appearances. He had no goals, no assists, but he was in the starting 11 60%. He had 72% of minutes, and in the playoffs, he had 2 appearances, of course, 100% starting 11, 100% minutes there, and he had an assist. He had an assist in the playoff series. And then his numbers for the regular season, like I said, 32 appearances, 7 yellows. We know Biro has that in him. He had 3 goals and 1 assist. That's what they have him logged in. Excuse me, as in the transfer market website. But Guilherme Biro, good signing that he has turned out to be. Value has gone up, so that's good for Austin, good for Rodo, good for Precourt, and also he's just a good guy on the pitch as well. A lot of competition on his side. John Coleman just really gave him a run for his money, and now you got Jon Bell that could play left back as well. So things definitely turn up at the left back position for Austin FC. Now another guy here, Owen Wolff, Primo. Now this is a guy that we made an individual post about because not only did his value go up, but he made the list for the top 5 most expensive U21 players in MLS. Now that's Owen Wolff, Austin FC player, homegrown player, supplemental roster player for Austin FC. Now his value gone up approximately $1 million around there. They put him at $4 million. That's euros, so probably around 4.3 mil. Owen Wolff, I mean, he's just going up and up and up. And also here we have Transfer Market showing via a line graph how Owen Wolff's trajectory has just simply gone up, trending in a positive direction, which is a good sign. He ranks number 69 in MLS, number 4, Austin FC, 44 in the United States or as an American. And just good signs from this young buck. Good signs from this guy, Owen Wolff. And Austin FC fans, they loved it. When this came out, they were very weary of a future sale, but I think they know that it's going to happen. They know that he's going to bring a pretty penny, and it's just something that has to happen. But Primo, what are your thoughts on this? Owen Wolff, I mean, his price is just going up. It's skyrocketing. Invest in Owen. He's Bitcoin. He's Ethereum. He's gold. He's just old-fashioned gold. What are your thoughts, mate?
Yeah, this one's exciting to talk about just because it's well deserved. Owen just had a really good season. I think probably his best season this past one, and so like you mentioned, man, it's skyrocketing. Owen to the Wolf, Owen
Owen to
Wolf
the
to the
moon.
moon, and if you want to invest into something, it's Owen Wolf right now for sure. I feel like Austin FC is going to do everything they can to give him the most minutes, really put his name out there. So I don't see him staying here long. Maybe even after the next season, he can be gone, depending how this next season goes for him. But hot, hot subject for sure. Hot stock right now. Owen Wolff.
Definitely. Owen Wolff is on the market. I don't think that he's gone public, so you can't really, get him on Robinhood. But once he goes public, once that stock goes public, we're gonna be buying Owen Wolff. Give me 100 stocks of
100
Owen
stock.
Wolff right now. I want them right now. But anyway, shout out to Owen. His value is just going up and up and up, and the fan base absolutely loves it. So you had Biro with the shout going up. You had Owen with the shout going up. You had Bukari going down. Uzuni going down, unfortunately. And also somebody's value that went up, Primo, that I was a little bit surprised that, according to Transfer Market, was Savovic. His value went up. So that's good for Austin FC. I mean, this is a free agent signing. Austin FC is going to be loving it that his value went up. I know a lot of Austin FC fans are going to be like, huh? Savovic value went up? But hey, it is what it is. Savovic, do your thing, mate. I guess I'm liking it. what I'm seeing in that department. But like I mentioned earlier, Primo, I mean, in general, it was a lot of kind of, you know, negative, kind of not negative in the sense like trash talking or whatnot, but some of the market values for a lot of Austin FC players, according to Transfer Market, have gone down. But like I said, you can't really take it to heart 100%. I know we're getting hyped up about the Owen Wolff situation, but that's because he actually has quality. He actually, is a player that can back up that number. And when you're talking about Uzuni and Bukari, they have quality as well, but their stump doesn't necessarily reflect exactly kind of where they can be, where they're going, and where they've been at. This Owen Wolff guy, I mean, this is a value that's going to be going up and up and up. And I don't think I need to explain any further why the Owen Wolff situation is more exciting than a player being in a bit of a rut or bit of in a stump when we're talking about market value wise. But another player that went up, Damian Loss, that's a no brainer as well. We mentioned Biro going up, Owen Wolff going up as well. Savovic went up, and everybody else just kind of not really worth mentioning, mate, if I'm being quite honest. Robert Taylor went down. Ilya Sanchez, of course, went down just a bit. Johnny G went down just a bit. Mikel Dessler stayed around the same. Julio Cascante went down. Brad Stuver went down apparently in market value 400,000. So that gives you a little bit of an idea. When a guy like Brad Stuver goes down in market value 400,000, what does that tell you about how some of these things function, how some of these things work? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But
Yeah.
whenever it's Owen Wolff, we get hyped up though. When it's Owen Wolff, we get hyped up. But talking about transfers and kind of stuff that's kind of moving around the league, Primo, I do want to mention some of the stuff that has been going on in MLS. Although Austin FC, I know a lot of Austin FC fans have been kind of wondering, well, where are the moves? Why isn't Rodo cooking? Where are all the announcements? This Jon Bell signing gets the wheels spinning just a little bit. I wanted to mention some of the other things that other clubs are doing because Austin FC fans are saying, well, if they're doing it, how come we aren't doing the same? Well, one of my favorite things that happened, mate, in recent days is a striker change in DC United. Now, apparently, according to Tom Bogert, DC United Primo is in advanced talks to sign Ty Baribo from Philly to replace Christian Benteke. Baribo is 27. He has 35 goals in the last 2 seasons. And it's one of those interleague transfer things that's brand new, kind of how Joveljic went to SKC from Galaxy. But it's only $4 million for a guy that has 35 goals in the last 2 MLS seasons. I mean, that is insane. That is a bargain. That is what a deal. $4 million for almost 40 goals. Are you kidding me? He's going to be a DP in DC. And Baribo is somebody that we saw in All-Star. He was an All-Star this year. But I mean, what a massive signing for DC United. Another one, Primo, is Walker Zimmerman. He's going to Toronto as a free agent, apparently. And he's 32 years old and one of the best CBs in MLS, no doubt. I mean, that's just no questions. Whenever he's healthy, he's one of the best in this league. Center back of the year, defender of the year, yada yada yada. International, we know the rep sheet. I mean, this is one of the best center backs that the league has to offer right now. And then another one, defensive signing. This one is to Galaxy from Philly, Primo. This is another cheap one, which is weird. Defender of the year, he's going to the Galaxy from Philly, Jacob Glensis, for just over $1 million. I mean, what are these prices? Philly is like Costco. Philly is like Sam's. I mean, they're giving out these deals for all these teams, and I'm just like, why aren't we getting involved? But then I'm like, well, okay, we don't really need a strike. We don't really need a Ty Baribo because you're banking on Brandon Vasquez. You don't really. I mean, you would take a Walker Zimmerman or a Jacob Glensis 100%, but it'd be the Julio Cascante situation again, where these are players that are probably making a pretty penny at center back when all your other guys are making less than 400 racks. So it just doesn't sit right. It just doesn't sound right. And I know a lot of fans want these signings, but it just doesn't fit the bill from what Austin FC has been recently doing with their signings. So what are your thoughts on just some of these quick signings that have been? There's more things that have been working on, or that have been happening, but these are kind of the blockbuster ones.
I think like when it comes to these signings, and you mentioned, some of these fans are probably like, why aren't we doing any of these, signings? I feel like when it comes to MLS and transfers, everything kind of has to fall in place at the right time. For the most part, just because of all these rules that you have when it comes to transfers in the league. and some of that stuff might just be falling in place for these teams. You know, who knows what the situations looks like in these other teams. And you might know if you're putting your time into looking at the rest of the league. But personally, I'm not too familiar with with, for example, Toronto situation that they got Walkerman on Zimmerman and then
Hmm.
in a free transfer. So stuff like that goes on the league a lot. So I feel like when it comes to Austin, maybe before we start seeing these signings, some stuff has to happen before. Like for example, Julio Cascante leaving, he leaves, and we get this rumor. Or now maybe I would say 90% confirmed that John Bell is coming through. So, you know, maybe we just gotta make a few more moves before the floodgates open, and we'll start seeing all that green smoke come through.
Yeah, I mean, also the super draft, just real quick, that's also coming up. I
Super
mean,
draft,
the
yeah.
with that coming up, I mean, I just wanted to mention real quick on that. I mean, I used to get really excited for these super drafts. I mean, well, the first couple of seasons covering this team, I mean, these events are exciting. You get guys like Danny Pereira, you get guys like CJ Fodre, you get guys like Valentino Noel, Riley Thomas, um, Mazzaferro. A lot of good guys come through this super draft. Danny Pereira being the most involved one with the first team. But I mean, are these just going to be Fcito reinforcements most likely, or are they even going to get to see the crest? Because if we think back, you remember when they had signed that youngster center back, where literally 30 minutes had passed, and people were starting to post their graphics, were starting to talk about this new young exciting center back. His name was Nate Jones. Literally sold him 30 minutes later, sold
Oh
for
yeah,
Gam to I
I mean
think
that was crazy.
Colorado. So it was like, okay, well then, what are these super draft signings gonna be? I know we know Rodo. He hasn't talked the best about the super draft kind of structure. He doesn't really talk the best about MLS Next Pro. You know, he's a Europe guy that has his idea on what kind of development needs to be, what academies need to be, and it's been different for him here. And I don't think he just had I just don't think he has that much trust for the super draft. And if I'm not mistaken, I think the pick that Austin FC has is late, so I don't expect much from the super draft. If I'm being quite honest, mate, I think they're probably gonna sell it or something, do something with their pick or whatnot. But I'm genuinely not expecting too much from Austin FC in the super draft. If anything, I'm expecting them to be Austin FC two reinforcements, and I think that's pretty good. Something for Jason Shackle to work with in 2026, and we'll see what we get in the 2025 super draft. But most likely reinforcements for Jason or moves that Rolo is going to make for Gam or some kind of money moving down the line. But those are just some of the things happening in the league. Now, talking about the Super Draft, Primo, talking about Austin FC to kind of reinforcements for them. Another bit of news that came out this kind of off-season era that we're in right now, off-season mode that we're in right now, is the Cole Coughlin situation. Cole Coughlin, he is a former Austin FC Academy player. He left about 2 months ago, I think, when he made his post, maybe 3 months ago, when he made his post saying that he was leaving the academy. Now, this is a guy, Primo, captain material. When I saw him play with Austin FC with the academy, because he's been with the academy for quite some time. He won the GA Cup back in 2023 with the U15s, and he made it all the way to the U18s. And I was a little bit bummed to kind of see him go. Not just to, and he's not going to the USL anymore. He's not going to college like we see a lot of these players do. They take some kind of deal and they go to whatever school takes them in. Right. This is a player, Primo, that is going to the Scottish Premiership. Now, the Scottish Premiership, it's not the Premier League. It's not La Liga. It's not League. I understand that, right? It's not, this and that. He's going to the reserve side, the B side. But this player couldn't have stayed and stuck around a little bit with the Austin FC side at the Austin FC 2 level. Did we not have a plan for this young player? Did we not see any kind of potential in him? Because Scotland is obviously giving him some kind of chance. He's with the B sides over there. And it doesn't just stop there, Primo. This player is already seeing minutes with the B side. And it doesn't stop there. I told you he's captain material. What's that on his arm? That's if I'm not mistaken, that's the captain armband for this the name is
Kilmarnock.
Kilmarnock
Kilmarnock.
Kilmarnock Kilmarnock FC. I mean, come on, guys. What are we? the academy guys. I mean, we need to keep some of these talents. We need to keep some of these boys. I mean, Cole. Oh man, I'm just bummed that another solid player, and he's not the most talented. He's not lights out, but he's a solid player, knows how to play the role. And you know what, Primo? Maybe, because I was really thinking about this. Maybe, mate, it was either Irvin Torres or Cole that got the homegrown contract. Maybe. I don't know. And if that's the case, if it could only be one of them, because they both played very similar positions, very similar situations. Cole played attacking midfielder, center midfielder. Irvin Torres also played those same areas. If that was the case, then maybe I kind of begin to understand. But if we are in the world where Cole and Irvin could have coexisted and both could have been promoted, or maybe Irvin right now and Cole next season, I mean, I just don't. I don't understand pretty well. And I go to a lot of Austin FC2 games. I go to quite a few academy games where I have a good opinion on Cole, a good opinion on some of these other academy players. This is a player that I wish would have definitely stuck around. Definitely wish that he would have stuck around me. And he's now going to Scotland. He's in Scotland. He actually had a game today, and I think they won it, if I'm not mistaken, the first team. But I mean, what can you say to this, mate?
Yeah, I mean, it's a little bit of a bummer because you wish that Austin FC keeps these guys, and well, and you hope that they're doing everything they can and presenting everything they can to these players to keep them. But um, maybe I don't know, man. I don't know. Maybe and at the same time, it's also like a stepping stone in a player's career. So
Yeah, yeah,
hopefully, they're kind of just seeing, they don't take it, too hard and see it that way. And I mean, I honestly think this is probably a step up for Cole going over to where
yeah,
he's at now,
yeah.
and he's already, making a name for himself there, so getting into the starting lineup, wearing captain
Hmm.
armbands, and all that kind of just racks up. And who knows, he might get that first team call up, and then to play in the Scottish Premiership. It's not the most lucrative league, but you're in England. You got teams that can potentially play in these big
Well, you're in the
European
UK.
competitions.
You're in the
You're
UK.
in the UK
Respect
that
respect the
also,
country. Respect the country of
yeah,
Scotland.
yeah. And so you got a lot of close ties to a lot of bigger leagues, a lot of bigger
Yeah, yeah.
scouts, and so
And
hopefully it works out for him.
at the end of the day, Primo, I think that's what drove him to make the decision,
Oh
or
yeah.
his camp. I think that's what drove them to make that decision. And maybe more questions do need to be asked, Primo, about the structure that Austin FC has of the 18s going up to FCito, going up to the first team, because it hasn't really worked out. Other than Irvin Torres, I mean, who can you really say, oh, they were a successful academy story? It hasn't really worked out that way yet. And I think we need to come to the point where if Cole left, if Vigo left, if Nico Van Rij left Austin FC too, I mean, there's been a lot of questionable departures. Even at the first team, there's been a lot of questionable departures, and this is just one of them where I'm like, man, I wish he would have stuck around. I wish he would have stuck around. I wish he would have maybe had a more attractive plan for him, attractive project. And I guess Scotland had that for him. And best of luck. That's all I can say. Best of luck to this kid. Captain material, very vocal, solid. Definitely a leader in the group that he was always in. And just best of luck. Best of luck to him. Nothing else I could say on the topic. Now, some other things on the academy level. The Arbolito Cup that concluded. Now that was a lot of fun, a lot of cold fun, Primo, I must say. But honestly, I had a great weekend. I'm not gonna lie, I had a great weekend. I got to watch U14 and U13 games with a bunch of parents that had a lot of knowledge on a lot of these players that they were just like, passing it on to me, giving me scouting reports. But two of my favorite parents that I got to watch games with was Coach Nico Esteves and former Austin FC player and U.S. men's national team legend was on FIFA, Jazzy Zardes. His son was injured. He didn't. He wasn't playing. I was really excited to see his son because I've heard really really good things. I've seen great things of him as well. But he wasn't part of the U14s in the Arbolito Cup. But it was a good time, man. It was a good time. Jazzy, Nico, they
That's so
see the
cool, man.
game so elegantly, bro, and it was awesome. It was awesome. I also got to hang out with my G Axel from One Taco. Also got to hang out with RDZ Flicks. Saw Danny Jefferson out there. A lot of folks out there, grinded, taking photos. Diego and I were out there. Alex was also out there as well. I mean, it was dope. I know that you were trying to go out there, but one of the days it just didn't end up working out. But would have been nice to get the whole crew out there. But anyways, Arbolito Cup was great. I will say that it was a success, Primo. I will say that it was a success. The U14s, they lost the final, but they looked better than Miami, I must say. Now, you're gonna stop and say, whoa, well, hey, well, didn't Miami beat them in the PK shootout? They did. They did win in a PK shootout, but that's 50-50. The match that I saw between Miami and Austin, I think Austin was the better team for big portions of the match. Miami did have their moments, but when it comes to gameplay on the field, open play, Miami didn't really surprise me, if I'm being quite honest. And Messi's son, Thiago Messi, he was supposed to be on that team. He was in Austin. He was part of the group, but he apparently strained his arm, or he something wrong with his wrist or something, and he was sidelined for the entire tournament. So didn't get to see him, which was a little bit of a bummer. But I was there to see Austin FC more than anything. Now the teams that did surprise me pretty more for the good part was Orlando. I knew that they had a good program, but man, their U14s and their U13s, they were great. Primo. They were great. They were solid. They were pressing. They were big boys also, which was very interesting there. I need to see some birth certificates more than anything. But no, like I said, it was a great time seeing these boys play. They didn't end up winning the championship, nor the 13s, nor the 14s, but at this level, I mean, you're gonna make mistakes. You're gonna commit these errors. More importantly, what I see when I come out here, well, when I go out to Primo and I see them play, I don't come on here and criticize them and say, "Oh, he failed to stop the ball. Oh, he failed to do this. He failed to do that." At that age level, you know what I do, mate? I criticize them on how they react to the mistake. Because if you make a bad mistake, I'm watching what you do after that happens. Is your head down? Are your shoulders slouched? Are you out of it? Or are you trying to win the next ball? Are you trying to win the next header? Are you trying to make the next play? Those are the and don't take that. Sorry, don't take it from me. That's what scouts are also looking for, man. That's what people in positions that are going to recruit you to either colleges or other teams, or other programs. That's what they're looking for. So, just young players out there, keep that in mind. If you lose a ball, if you don't make a save, if you miss open net, think about the next thing you can do that will impact the team positively. And that's all I really have to say on the age groups. There were so many good performances. I even have some names written down that I wanted to mention on the pod today. For the U14s, particular shout out to Oliver Hamadi. I don't know if you saw Primo on the story. We shared two banger goals. One of them was off of the crossbar Campanita. Oliver Hamadi, you can see him run up to it and just like he just kisses it off the inside of his boot. It takes an insane curl, and the goalkeeper even doubts where it's gonna land. He has to step back and think about where he's gonna dive. And then the second one, Diego Valencia caught it on video. He receives it, runs off the corner of the box and just bangs it into the back of the net. It was in a final two to make it 1-1. Orlando ultimately ended up winning it 2-1, but Hamadi, Oliver, I mean, what a player. I was very impressed by his long range efforts there. Also, some other names here. I have Belema Kumo. He was fantastic on the defense. Braden Ray, really good option up top. He's a player that got a crazy growth spurt. Primo. I know I'm just rambling, but I'm very invested into these age groups. Braden Ray, he got the assist that led his team to the final, but he's a player that is a good option up top. He's a good hold up player. He knows what to do with the ball, and players will commit mistakes. He's a very young player. They're 13, 14 years old, but there's good signs in a player like Braden Ray. And he was also banging in goals during the regular season for Austin FC for the U14 age group. So it doesn't stop here. There's still more coming. Arbolito Cup is a trophy. You still got a whole season to look forward to. So I just wanted to say that. Also, Raymond Zhang, a really interesting player, quiet killer. This guy Raymond Zhang, Primo. If I'm not mistaken, he is the only Asian player on this team, and he plays with such quality. He plays with class. He reminds me of just the most elegant midfield players, and I'm excited to see what this young boy is gonna develop into. I must say, he did score a banger in one of the group stage games from outside the box, kissed the post, and went in, and everybody got hyped up. They were like, "Yeah, Raymond, let's go!" Because it was like a miss, just like a huge moment. Maybe he doesn't score all that many goals, and everybody was happy for him, but quality player. And then Aiden Hernandez, he was probably one of the biggest threats for this U14 side in this Arbolito Cup. Saucy player. He's just one of those guys that needs the ball at his feet. Let him do what he has to do. And I really like seeing him play. He was on the left side, so he was closer to the people for a big portion of the time. And it was good. He got, I think he got 2 goals or 3 goals in the Arbolito Cup. But keep an eye on him. And then Donovan Dolan, he was also really good. Shorty, super short player. He hasn't got his growth spurt yet, but he was just keeping up with the boys. Shout out to that lad. Uh, Pleasure seeing him. And then in goal, Seba Gallegos, he saved the team a couple of times. The only criticism that I do have is for him to work on kind of his placement. I think there was a couple of times where he was caught off his line. But it was a lot. It did have a lot to do with the wind, Primo. You know how today it was very windy, right?
Yeah, a lot of
Um,
wind.
and you know how when you play and you take a long shot or you're on defense and you try to clear the ball, the wind controls the ball, right?
That's crazy how that happened. Rio
It's
kicks
I
it so hard and it stays in the same spot.
Yes, exactly. Well, for Orlando, one of their goals, the wind completely carried their freaking shot, and it was just so annoying. You could tell that the ball stayed in the air for longer than it needed to be, and it just arced him perfectly. But he was a little bit in front of his line, so maybe it's something that he needs to work on. But hey, he credit to him. He is off his line maybe more often than not, or because he is a goalie that anticipates the run a lot. He comes out a lot, and he's good sliding. He's good sliding. He's good with tackling or whatnot. He's good with his feet. He's good with his feet, and he's also already been identified by the U.S. Men's National Team Talent ID Camp. So just keep an eye on this player. Like I said, players will make mistakes at this level. It's all about how you approach the next opportunity. So, and last one, Ruben Ramirez. He was a really good option off the bench, at least from what I saw. Scored a goal. I think who was it against? I think it was St. Louis. But he iced it. He pretty much iced it. Solid goal. And Braden Ray was also involved in that goal. So you see what I mean when this player is good at distributing. But good things from this U14 side. The U13s, Primo, I don't have much intel on them. I just know a couple of players. Thiago, we mentioned him a couple weeks ago because of the U12 competition that was going on. He was with this side. He was doing well. Marcelo, really, really solid piece at the back, right back. One thing that I'm looking at this age group, Primo, I know that I'm kind of rambling on the academy, is the fearlessness of the ball. And that's something that I see that this player, Marcelo, has. The ball is in the air. He's not scared to get his head on it. A player's coming at him. He's not scared to, kind of take him on. He's not afraid to go to ground and make a tackle, but he's also smart. He doesn't overly get on a player when he wants to make sure that he has contact on him to let him know that he's there. He knows how to toe poke right at the same time. And these are positions that I used to play back in the day, Primo. So I'm looking at these little details, and really good player there. But there's also so many other guys at this U13 side that are quality, but it's almost impossible to name them and know them all. Just know that they are there. They have quality, and yeah, they are there. Like I said, I paid a little bit more attention to the U14s in this tournament, but I was also watching the U13s whenever I had the chance. Even though it was freaking cold, it was insane. But Primo, I mean, I know that I went on a ramble. Any thoughts on some of these academy boys?
I mean, no, shout out to you for going out there and really checking these guys out. At the end of the day, they're all part of Austin FC, and this is what we do. This is what we love. So we go out there, we check them all out, and for thank you for the reports you do on these kids, and for the kids playing right now. You see them, and you don't go out there to judge these kids, man. They're playing a sport at the end of the day, but um that's something you look out for, the character, the
Hmm.
where are they willing to come back and fight for the ball, things like that. I think
Yeah,
is what
yeah.
what's really building these kids up to someday hopefully be professional athletes. and so it's all part of it. So it's all part of it. Hopefully, we get some good homegrowns out of these academies. That's the goal, and also I hope that the academy continues to grow.
Yeah.
I know we mentioned earlier with Cole that we get a lot of these players that come in but then they leave, and so I'm hoping that we're just not that we fully haven't figured it out yet, because we're not super new, but we're not the oldest academy either. So I think there's still a lot of room to improve. And what I see is that we have a really good system in bringing these kids in, and bringing having these kids go through the whole youth system. But once it gets to that age, 17, 18, 19, once they start
Yeah.
having to make those
Yeah.
big decisions, that's when we can't keep them. And hopefully it's just something that Austin FC probably hasn't figured out yet, is how to keep these kids. And hopefully it is something that they figured out. Because I want to see these, I want to see some homegrown contracts, man.
Yeah.
I want to see someone come from the U13s all the way up into the first team,
Yeah.
and so getting these, you're doing good work, getting their name out there, and giving them the praise. I'm I'm trying to make it out there one day. These games look really exciting to watch. I've never really been to academy games like that, but it's something I want to go out and do and enjoy. They seem like they're fun. They seem like
Yeah.
you can get,
Yeah.
and they seem pretty competitive too. So
No, yeah, definitely, and you get a glimpse at what the future could be of the club. You get a glimpse of what the future could be of the league, because ain't no telling these boys are going to come up through your system and stay with us, and they could end up signing for Cincinnati. They could end up going to Houston.
yeah,
They could end up going anywhere, right? They could end up going to Mexico. They could end up going to Europe. Who knows exactly where the talent level for these players will be at moving forward. But like I said, shout out to Austin FC for doing their thing at Arbolito Cup. Really impressed with the level that Orlando possessed. I think a lot of the people there in attendance would agree with me. I think this Orlando side was, I think, a level above all the teams. And one thing, I wanted to send a shout out to the organizers of the Arbolito Cup, Primo, because the there was multiple scouts at this event, and not just team. There was U.S. national team scouts. There was club scouts. This was a tournament that had some. Luis Suarez's son was here. Messi's son was here, but he didn't play. But Luis Suarez's son was here. I mean, there was good talent on display, and there was good teams here. I mean, you had Cincinnati, you had Orlando City, you had Miami, you had Austin FC as a fantastic host. You had Dynamo pull up. Props to them. Yada yada yada. But like I said, I mean, these are just solid teams that have good academy programs. Colorado was also here. St. Louis was also here. You had solid academy programs down here in Austin, and it's good intel. It's good research for everybody. If they saw an Austin player that they liked, they can maybe try to plot on him. Austin saw a player that they liked from somebody else, they could try to plot on him to try to bring him to the city, bring them to the program or whatnot, blah, blah, blah. But, same thing last week when it was a lot of local teams. You had teams from Laredo, teams from San Antonio, teams from Corpus Christi were here. And it's just, it builds your intel. It builds your amount of information, your identification of players, of talent in this region. And I love it. I like it. We need more of it. And like I said, just like you said, also, we need to increase that production from the academy to the first teams and also moving forward, mate. But alrighty. Also, just shout out to the players at MLS Next Fest. They did their thing out there, the 15s, the 16s, and the 18s. But shout out to the Austin FC, just academy organization right now. They got a lot going on. They got a lot of stuff going on, and we're here covering it. We're trying to add as much as we can to it. Not being too harsh, too critical, because at the end of the day, these are kids. They're 13 years old, but they're not just any kids. They're training to be professional soccer players. This is going to be their job in the future, and it's just a little bit different for them. But hey, at the end of the day, they're going to make mistakes. Like I said, it's all about how they react and how they perform for the next thing that they get presented onto their plate. But Primo, that's kind of all the things that I had for Austin FC, mate. I mean, right now that I have you on here, of course, because we are Real Madrid enthusiasts. We do follow the merengues in Spain. I think it's important to talk about, kind of a big topic that's going on right now. I mean, Xavi Alonso, his job appears to be kind of up in the air. It seems like the Real Madrid board is leaking a little bit of information to the media, kind of getting him kind of scared, saying if he didn't beat Man City, he was gonna get sacked. Well, Madrid had a little bit of a good showing against Man City. They didn't beat them, but they had a solid showing. And then this game comes around this weekend. Who was it against Alaves? And you're thinking, oh my god, just long portions of the game is just doesn't sit right. Madrid did get the lead early. Alaves tied it up, and it was just like, oh my god, what's gonna happen? What's going on? Is Madrid gonna lose or tie this game, and Xabi Alonso is gonna get sacked? And then the most unlikeliest hero, the person that Xabi Alonso had completely discarded on the bench, Rodrigo Gosh. I mean, he completely bails out Xabi Alonso. What do you think about this, mate?
Yeah, man. Real Madrid is in a. It's crazy because you say they're in a tough spot. They're second in the league. They're like 4 points from
Don't
Barca.
say
They're
that,
like
Brian.
they're
Brian is gonna use that as ammo. Don't say that, bro.
so, but it's not like all sunshines and rainbows. I guess because of the expectations that are set in the beginning of the league. Xabi Alonso coming in, being doing what he did in Leverkusen. Um, a little bit of big expectations, I think, for him coming in, and things aren't really playing out how everyone thought. You got a handful of losses in the league. You probably could be doing better in Champions League. You probably could have been beating Man City, um, and he's just in the hot seat right now, man. Hot seat right now, and I think the only man really, you mentioned Rodrigo bailing him out, yes. But Mbappe right now is going off. Mbappe is scoring
Yeah,
almost every
yeah.
single game, and I think that's really what's like overshadowing this whole Xabi Alonso thing. If it wasn't for Mbappe, if he was just doing decent numbers, I think he would be in the focus a lot more. And maybe probably couldn't, he probably would have gone sacked by now. Who knows? But um, hopefully he turns it around. I really don't know who would be in contention for uh the 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 job if he were to get sacked. People are saying Jurgen Klopp. People are
Arbeloa,
saying
Arbeloa,
Arbeloa.
Arbeloa. I
I think
saw
I
that.
saw Raul in there. I think maybe I think he's doing
Ah,
like
he was with Castilla for the
I
longest.
think he's doing yeah. So, but I feel like that's just like another kind of like Xavi Alonso type,
It's like a Solari all over
like a
again.
Solari,
Solari. It was
yeah,
like a
something like
Solari.
that.
You know who
So
you right, mate. You know who is free and you can go out and get right now if you wanted to. Mourinho. Go
Mourinho,
get
yeah.
Murillo. It's who these players need. I'm tired of there being drama in the freaking tabloids and the media that Bellingham is and his father throwing a fit, that Vini is storming out and going into the locker room and then coming back out and fighting with the Barca players. Mu puts a stop to that. Mourinho puts a stop to you're not doing that to Mourinho's locker room. I think they're taking a little bit of advantage of Xabi Alonso being a new coach. And I think Xabi is a nice guy. I genuinely think by what we see from what we've seen on screen, what we've seen from him as a player in his career, I really don't think that he has a firm control, a firm grip on this locker room because it's kind of slipping out. It's kind of kind of getting out of control, mate. And a guy like Mourinho, a coach like Mourinho, comes in and cleans this entire mess up, and he probably improves the level of a lot of these players. Now, I saw rumors of him maybe signing for 2DN. Mourinho, I don't know if you saw those rumors that he was maybe going to be a pundit for 2DN. There were
Ooh,
those are real negotiations. But if he's flirting with networks, Madrid, go get him. Go get him ASAP, Madrid, please, because this is a ship that's just honestly, this is a sinking ship, bro. Madrid is not gonna. Madrid doesn't aspire to win anything this year, brother. You say, oh well, they're not doing too bad. They're in second place. I mean, they're playing poor. They can step it up. They can wake it up, sure, 100%. But whenever they play a game, you're not excited watching them, right? They're not playing exciting football. You know who's playing exciting football right now? Barcelona. They're playing exciting football. They want to
Rafinha.
make you want they want to make you want to watch 90 minutes of a freaking game. Madrid doesn't. Madrid makes you want to change the channel, take your eyeballs out, and just stomp on them on the ground. That's what Madrid makes you want to do right now. And like you said, if it wasn't for Mbappe, this week Rodrigo wins it, sure. But if it wasn't for Mbappe, Madrid would be in a crazy situation right now. And it's easy to say, oh, if it wasn't for Mbappe, well, yeah, well, Real Madrid would have somebody of that caliber in his position regardless. But you still got to bang in the goals. And shout out to Kylian. I mean, he's been at least doing his thing for us for us at FC for Real Madrid. Uh
Yeah,
but
that's it's a little bit of a crazy situation. La Liga's I think
yeah,
heating up a little bit. Barca came back and are keeping that gap open. So
yeah,
I think Atletico is probably creeping up as well. It's getting hot in La Liga for sure.
definitely, mate, definitely. Now, last thing, Liga MX, Toluca is crowned as champion, mate. They win it. They're back-to-back winners. They now equal Chivas on titles, if I'm not mistaken. And I think they should be considered one of the grandes. If maybe people didn't already consider them one already. I know people already say that there's grandes, that list is closed and you can't be considered one anymore. But I think Toluca is in that conversation with Chivas, with America, with who are the other grandes? Cruz Azul. People argue Pumas if they're grande or not. But I think Toluca has entered the chat. And respect to Alexis Vega, former Chivas player. I hate to see him go, but I love to watch him succeed. And H, I'm not too in tune with Toluca right now, their roster, but I think he's still part of that. I know he went at it with Arteaga on social media recently about the Sergio Ramos post, calling him a muerto. But no, man, I mean,
It's
Toluca,
crazy.
big ups to them. Champions of Liga MX back to back. I mean, just big ups to them. I love what they've been doing. I have a lot of family members that support Toluca, so I've been kind of close to them for a very long time. But no, big ups to them, and hopefully this puts a little bit of fire under Chivas's belt or Chivas's butt, and they start doing things that can lead them to win titles. I mean, any thoughts, Primo, on Toluca? I know we have friends that support this team, so they must be happy.
Yeah, a lot of people are happy for sure. I know a few people that support Toluca, a few of our friends also, and I think it's exciting. I think it's exciting to have a little bit of a change in champion. America had a good run. There's a lot of America talk for a while, and I think Toluca's doing a really good job coming up and putting their name out there for sure. And I think they've always kind of been up there, but now these kind of back to back championships really solidifies their name. I would consider them, one of those big teams in Mexico, top
Hmm.
five, top six for sure. Um, and I think just everything about Toluca, man. I think the team is great. The crest, I love the crest. I love the colors. I love the stadium. If you haven't seen this,
Yeah,
that stadium is crazy.
I've
That's
I've
one of the stadiums I wish to visit. It's
I've
one of
never
the
seen it. I've never seen it in person, but
right.
I drove by it when I was a kid. But
Oh,
it was but check this out. It was the old stadium. It's
oh,
renovated.
yeah,
It's
the
yeah,
renovated one.
it's
Yeah.
renovated one. And I drove by when I was a kid a long time ago. I remember we were driving by and my dad said, "Look over there, that's so and so's stadium." And it still has the same name, Nemesio Diaz,
Nemesio
but
Diaz.
but I saw it when I was a kid. Briefly remember what it looked like. I just remember it being like tall and square, and that's kind of what it looks like today. It's kind of just like box looking, square looking.
Yeah.
I've never seen it and what it now looks like, but it's one of the nicer stadiums in Mexico. I have an aunt that lives not too far from there, so I might pop up, be like, "What's up, fam?" and just go see them play
Go see a
Toluca.
Toluca game.
Ask for like a credential for the league game or whatnot, and see what their press box looks like. That'd be a lot of fun. That'd be a
Yeah,
lot of fun.
no, I would want to. Yeah, that's one of the stadiums that's on my list to check
Yeah.
out someday for sure.
Hey, Leagues Cup. Maybe Toluca
Leagues
comes
Cup,
comes
man.
by. Maybe Toluca
Yeah.
comes by. We'll see. They could come through. But alrighty, mate. We're gonna get out of here, Primo. The John Bell definitely added more minutes to the pod. But if you're sticking with us, if you're hearing this, if you're stuck all the way to the end, hopefully you enjoyed the conversation. Gonna try to come up with the Patreon pod midweek for the Discord members, Patreon members. But relying on some news to come out. But if that doesn't, I got something up my sleeve that I think a lot of folks are going to enjoy. So until then, have a good night, have a good day, and we'll see when this John Bell uh, signing is made official. If if it's actually going to happen, and I think it will. I think it will. But we'll see if it's when this podcast comes out or by latest Tuesday. But alrighty, have a good night, everybody, and be safe. Later.